Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. No intro today because once again the OBS gods have, well, put cock in ass, I suppose. Anyways, we have plenty to talk about on the short and medium term timeframes. Higher term timeframes still more or less the same, but I suppose now would be a good time to go check out the Krown trading application, which can be found at app.krowntrader.net, and it's 100% free. I am having a keen eye on the open interest right here because we did add a bunch of exchanges from the last update this past weekend. If you had a little bit of a scare, I do apologize for that. Should have probably announced it before. My apologies. And what I really want to see is the next big break of the higher term time frame range, either above 9,800 or below 8,600. Plus, I want to document where the open interest is with looking at all these major exchanges right here. So now we've included literally all of the major exchanges. And at some later date, we will be able to provide an option where you can, just pick and choose which ones that you want to look at. You don't have to look at all of them if you don't want to. But for right now, that's just the way that it is. So I want to see a break of that region, and then I want to document where the open interest is because I am, this is my first look on it as well. And after looking at other websites, data mining, I guess, or wherever the fuck they're getting the information from, I just don't trust anyway. I just don't trust other websites. So for right now, I'm gonna be keeping a keen eye on that if and when we do break the next higher term time frame range. Other than that, I do want to take a look at the top end metrics, which are more or less the same here. Still taking out a 65.5 for the Bitcoin dominance. Fear and greed index coming down a couple of points. So still in the fearful zone overall. But to me right now, it's the price action and price levels that matter most. So that's what I'm going to be keeping an eye on as the regular trading week gets going after the holiday. Other than that, I think I have a couple announcements to make. I will not be on Twitch today. I do have a doctor's appointment to get to. Funny thing about getting an operation on your back, for whatever reason, doesn't like to heal up anytime soon. And it's been like 3 months now, and I'm still bleeding, which is kind of crazy. But it's all good. I don't want anyone to worry or anything like that. It's probably fine. It's probably fine. On top of that, what else do I want to say? Yes, I have closed all my Discord DMs. I understand that that's, maybe what some people don't want to hear, and it might be a little bit inconvenient for some people. It's not my intention, but I just felt like in order to be a part of the community more, which I enjoy a lot more, and I feel like maybe hopefully provide some more value as well, it's best to stop entertaining all these DMs and be a part of the community, just do it that way. So I do apologize that if that's inconvenient or if that sounds a little bit callous, but I did have to do it, just for the better of the community, I think. And then also for my mental health as well, because I found that I was, spending a lot of my free time or a lot of my time just in general in Discord DMs, which it's almost always better to have those conversations out and open anyways, because people can benefit from it. It's like we're not all that different, and what you think is maybe a unique problem to yourself we probably all dealt with it in some vein, in some way. And with that said, other people can add value to that as well, which I think is what the value is of a community. Also, I will not be, or I already said I'm not gonna be on Twitch. I will be uploading to my gaming YouTube channel. If you're interested in gaming, especially strategy games like Total War, then definitely check it out at Total Krown. I'll have a link in the comment section below. Of course, if that's not you, if you ain't interested in games, if you don't like strategy, if you don't like any of that, definitely don't go check it out, because you don't do it. I don't want to feel like I'm forcing anyone, Jesus. But I've been really enjoying uploading videos over there recently. So for anyone who happens to give a fuck, please do feel free to check it out. Again, Total Krown. Spelled the same way. Other than that, let's go check out some Bitcoin price action. I think this one's going to be a little bit on the fast side, as, like I said, I do have some appointments to get to today. Bitcoin bouncing off the same area that we spoke about yesterday at 8,600-ish region, down to the blue box territory, almost got a wick directly down to that region. And so far, so good on the bounce. Like I said yesterday, while I'm not necessarily so enamored with Bitcoin's higher term time frame look now by coming back down to that 8,600-ish base, I do not think that Bitcoin has the lower term time frame momentum to actually break this level just yet. If it is going to break bearishly, I think that it probably plays out another short rally here. We did hit our short term target off of yesterday's bounce to 9,000, but I do think it's very relevant I think it's very relevant that this probably will give another try to the upside. And the next level that I'd be looking at to the upside would be around 9,300-ish, give or take about $20. And that will be had if and when we do see a 2-hour dildo closure above 9,000, or especially a 4-hour. I'd prefer to see a higher term time frame. If we take out the last prior high on this rally at 89.78, would that be good enough? Probably is good enough, especially with momentum also just turning back around here. We see 4-hour Stochs heading up. Now we do have a nasty trend line kind of governing our highs as of recent times coming in there. So that is a consideration, but for now it is up, and we do see RSI is. RSI is not really giving us anything right here. I don't see any bullish divergence. I also don't see any hidden bearish divergence. So it's kind of kind of an interesting look here, because I'm not really seeing anything like too obvious. But from a momentum oscillator perspective, it looks to me like we're probably going to spend a little bit of time hanging out between about 9,000 or 8,950 and like 8,800 base, and then probably give another try to the upside. Everyone's going to get super bullish again, but assuming that Bitcoin doesn't get back above 9,800, it's very difficult to be bearish. Or sorry, it's very difficult to be bullish on a long-term downtrend. If Bitcoin can get back above 9,800, then sure, I'm happy to join the melt to the upside phase, as I think many people are. But still, I need to see that proven first and foremost. And I'm not saying that it can't happen. It's just, for right now, Bitcoin, I think, is just going to be mostly range bound between the upper 8,000s and mid to low 9,000s. And any sort of move below 8,600 is resolution to the downside. Any move above 9,800, especially on closures for 12-hour daily, is going to be resolution to the upside. With the same targets kind of in mind that we've been looking at for the last couple weeks here. Looking at historical volatility percentile, we are starting to expand here quite rapidly. So, I was looking at this as likely getting resolved a little bit later this week, around the 28th or 29th, which admittedly it's the 26th right now, so I guess close enough is close enough. But we are breaking the trend line, and we do see that the moving average on the historical volatility percentile is actually having a positive slope, which does very likely let us know that we are going to enter into an expansion phase, at least from this price point right here. And as you can see, all these expansions along the way have actually come to the downside. This move right here, expansion. This move right here, expansion. This move right here, expansion. Within the context of this, the overall context is obviously a contraction phase, but now we're seeing expansion once again. And what's price action doing? Price action thus far has been going up. So I do think that we probably see this expansion come back up to around 9,300-ish region. That's granted if Bitcoin does break 9,000 to the upside on, at the very least, a 2-hour closure. I'd feel better with a 4-hour, but then yes, I would extend targets all the way to 9,300-ish region. And that's where I'd be looking for maybe a short-term pullback. However, if Bitcoin can even just trade above 93, what is this high right here? 93.10 on Mexico. I would look for extension to 95. I know that these ranges are getting tight here, but I do think that it's warranted to be on the tighter side, because Bitcoin price action is really wedging itself into this area right here, and it's indicative that we're getting very close to resolution of this formation in its totality, meaning either a break above, again, 9,800 or below 8,600. But I want to show up the short-term timeframes first before getting into higher term timeframe potential areas as well. Looking at the 3-hour, we do see 3-hour Stokes up, looking okay. Got trend lines all over this bitch right now. 3-hour RSI did have a little bit of did have some regular bullish divergence here. 1, 2, 3 drives actually. No hidden bearish divergence just yet on the other side. So again, looking a little bit sloppy to me, especially when we go look at the 2-hour, which is losing a little bit of momentum there, but still technically up. Same thing on the RSI here too. So, it looks to me like we're probably gonna have another attempt to the downside, but I just don't think it has the momentum to break down fully just yet. I'm curious what the hourly is doing as well. It's probably down. Yes, indeed, it is down. So yeah, a little bit of a snaky area in the lower term timeframes. Historical volatility percentile on the hourly as well, incredibly low. So we are going to be looking at a short-term move, probably around the time that that traditional markets open up at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time later today. Other than that, though, I mean, we do have a little bit of hidden bearish divergence on hourly RSI, so probably good enough to bring us back down to 8,800 base. But assuming that it's not 8,800 that I really even be worried about. It's still 8,600 really to the downside until we actually break that. I can't get super bearish until we actually break 8,600. To the downside. However, let's see what momentum also to start to turn around at. So 4-hour will turn back to the downside with any sort of a 4-hour closure below about 8,800. It looks like 3-hour shows 8,770. 2-hour shows 8,850, and hourly shows 8,900 back to the upside actually. So the way that it looks to me is that as long as Bitcoin's above about 8,750-ish region, I do think that it's probably just putting in a little bit of a short-term low here, and I do think that Bitcoin will likely rally off of it into the mid to low 9,000s. The thing with it is it does that rally just end up being another failed rally as with the last couple ones. I think that's kind of relevant to say actually right now, because by Bitcoin coming back down to this 8,600-ish level, it looks eerily similar to the way that just Bitcoin loves to put in these reversal tops and bottoms actually. Bitcoin loves its triangles. I love triangles as well because they seem to play out quite often, and it seems to me like we're probably formulating one right here. I'll go to a fresh chart and just do this completely new, but something like this, where we have our declining highs coming in from our, what was this, like $10,000 level right here, and then our flat bottom right here at about 8,600-ish region. Very similar to what Bitcoin did on the last high right here. Nice little descending triangle as well. Coming off of this run at 10,500, as you can see, nice little ascending triangle right there. Also likes to play off ascending triangles on the for reversal from downside to upside as well. Same thing back in middle of 2019 right here, big nasty descending triangle. Ascending triangle actually in the beginning of 2019 right here, something like this. Whoops. Something like this with our rising lows coming in from here, not bad. And then another descending triangle in 2018, and you get where I'm going with this. It's just par for the course in the way that Bitcoin likes to play out its macro reversals, both to the upside and the downside. And with these pair of lower highs being kind of confirmed, not just on this look right here, but also on the macro scale right here, just lower. Here it is, high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high on the macro. Well, I guess not all of those count, but especially these last three, it does make me a little bit more skeptical. But still, the key critical area is the 8,600-ish region. So if 8,600 does break, that's when I become Krown Mr. Bear once again, looking for at the very least a move back down to 8,100-ish region, and I'd be looking for a bounce at 8,100 as well. That is going to be the 200 simple and 200 exponential moving average, kind of the cutting it to the middle right there. And by that time, a lot of the momentum oscillators are going to be pretty damn beat up. But I would be looking at a nice bounce there. But as long as we're being held below 8,600, the breakdown point, which is also the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, I look at that as just, as another breakdown, getting ready for some further south move. Could it be a fake out if it breaks down below there? Yeah, it could be. I'd wait until Bitcoin breaks back above 9,000 to call it like a fully, a full fake out. But ultimately, if Bitcoin did break below 8,600, I don't think it would stop here. I think that it'd have a nice little bounce here and then come down at the very least to 7,500 and probably 7,000 low. With this being a potential descending triangle in the making, we can make a measure move based upon it, which would be something like this. And this is, again, getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves here, but it would be pointed down towards about 7,400, 7,500-ish region, which would be the area that I really do think Bitcoin would probably come down to if Bitcoin broke 8,600. I do think that could easily extend down to 6,900 just based off of fibs here. If you are looking at this from a Fibonacci perspective. So we can just go back to this chart right here. All right, where is the chart that I did that on? Oh, you bastard. I must have deleted it too. Yeah, something like that from our last low to our last high, essentially. 618 coming in around 6,900, 0.5 coming in around 7,500, and 382 coming around 8,100. So all these levels match up with major moving averages, plus long-term supports and resistances coming in from this accumulation zone here in late 2019, and also our breakout relatively recently in April 2020. Of this year. So with that said, again, I want to be very clear in stating this. I'm not bearish until we actually break this level, but the way that things are kind of operating right now, it looks to me like Bitcoin wants to rally up in the short term, and assuming that the rally fails to make another higher high above 9,800, it's hard to be bullish on a downtrend. Or a presumptive downtrend, because right now we don't necessarily have a downtrend just yet. We just have lower highs. But looking at the 12-hour right here and trusting in the 12-hour Stokes, we do see that they are getting down there. They're not crossing up just yet. We do see with reverse Stoke indicator cross that they will cross back up to the upside above 9030. So I do think if Bitcoin even regains 9,000, especially on a 12-hour closure, I do strongly think that we will mount another attempt. Probably not just to 9,300. It'll very likely go to 9,500, maybe even 9,800, and have a chance to break to the upside if I can actually get my words out properly. Sorry, but for right now, it's. I'd rather remain neutral as far as the higher term timeframes go until we get that breakout either below 86 or above 98, and until then just play the ranges, of which I think short term we're probably going back up to like 93, very likely 95, assuming that this next 12-hour closure is good in the Borat tone. Looking at 12-hour historical volatility percentile as well, we do see that it is looking to expand here. after a nice contraction phase, so I do think that it has some time. But as you can see on the moving average on it, it hasn't even flattened out just yet. So I'm skeptical of it until I see that. But it's naturally going to take time. I'd imagine if we move back above 9,300, it very likely will, and that's going to likely give it enough space to expand, probably up to the 9,500ish region. At which point, I think a decision will be made. Above 9,500, a little bit more on the bullish side, but still 9,800 being that critical area. And again, same thing for the downside, below 86. To the upside though, I think I should talk about this a little bit more because I haven't really recently, even though I talked about it a shit ton over the past couple weeks. But 9,800 is very, very important here because that is our last highs coming in from our last daily closures, coming in this region right here. Not only that, but as you can see, it lines up perfectly with the 618 Fibonacci retracement at about 9,800 as well. On top of that, that is also the liquid zone that we broke down from in late February of 2020, from going all the way from 10,000 to 4,400. So it's a great long-term pivot as well. And then on top of that, it is also the culmination of that horizontal plus this diagonal coming in from our $14,000 high, and also the major rejection that we saw in late October of 2019 when China did whatever with Bitcoin that caused price action. So above there, I would get rather bullish, at least for a move up to 10.5, our last prior high. And at that point, could it double top and come back down? Yeah, possible. But I would err on the side of bullishness. I do believe that would initiate a measured move up to about 11,000, which would obviously take out the $10,500 high. If that were to happen, I would immediately get bullish for another move to another $1,000 move to 11,500. That's where the macro really comes into the picture here. That's where the macro really comes into the picture here, as that's the area that Bitcoin's been getting rejected from for the last more than 2 years now, going back to January 2018 right here, twice again in February, once in July 2019, again in August 2019, and well, we haven't approached it since then, but I'd imagine if Bitcoin did approach it again, it'd probably be very likely to break. Then again, you want to see it. You want to see proof, not promises. But above that area, the volume profile would suggest that we have a complete change of behavior. I mean, shit, even above 10,500 on a weekly closure, we have an interesting new behavior. Now, the weekly moving averages are actually still in bullish posturing here. We do see that Bitcoin is still using the 21 as support, and more importantly, it is still having a positive slope. So as long as Bitcoin's doing that, it does still make it difficult to be bearish in the immediate term. And again, I want to be on record as saying very, very short term, I'm actually bullish for another move back up into the $9,000 region. But if long term, we came back down to the 21, I would be looking for a bounce there. Where is that? 8,100. So I do like that area again from a moving average perspective, on the daily, weekly, and fib perspective as well as long term breakouts and breakdowns from historical liquid zones and accumulation zones. But for right now, we're obviously it's not really in visual view right now. It's not really relevant to what we're looking at this exact moment. Momentum oscillators on the weekly are still good here too, looking up, and weekly RSI is interesting because the weekly RSI still is going to have a chance to actually bounce off of this falling wedge formation here, but it needs to do it before end of week. And of course, there's another 4 days left of trading for CME's week closure, so a lot of things can happen. I'd imagine that if this one closes anywhere above 92, 9,300ish by end of week, we probably will see it bounce off this region, but I need to see a very stark bounce here, which we haven't seen just yet. If it comes back down below this trend line, that would be a failed breakout and a fake out on top of that, and I'd be looking for it to come back down to the bearish control zone, and that'd probably be when Bitcoin comes back down to the low 7,000s, I'd imagine. What else do we want to look at? I do have to make this video a little bit on the shorter side, like I said. Let's go I guess traditional markets are not trading, but okay, here's also another reason why I think Bitcoin could turn bullish. Traditional markets are strong as fuck. As we said yesterday, target of 9,600 initiated, and I believe it's been hit. Yes, it has been hit. Nicely done. So this is setting up for a very phenomenal monthly close, which I think the last trading day is Friday. Yeah, it is Friday. Last trading day is Friday. Any sort of a monthly close above 89.50, and I'm very bullish for new all-time highs. In the next coming months, we'll probably see monthly Stokes cross back up. They are stuck in the bullish control zone. Beautiful. Monthly RSI will regain the exponential as well, and this just looks like a nice, healthy consolidation, getting ready to spend some time in the bullish control zone. I look at this as massively bullish. I've been calling a low on traditional markets for a while now, and I feel more I feel more what's it called, empowered. I feel empowered. No, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I feel like that's justified with, well, of course, with this price action. Looking at E-mini futures for SPY, back above 300, as we said. I did say that short term was $300 target. However, I fucking hate giving out target. I hate it when I relate ideas like that. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. But I do still think that it's going to head up to like 310, 313 short medium term, setting up for a damn good monthly close as well. And some massive hidden bullish divergence actually on the monthly playing out right here. So I do think that it probably is going to be good enough to maybe even extend itself to 320 over the next month or two, depending upon how this one closes. But I want to see the monthly close first. Weekly is very good. I do think that the weekly is setting up for a move to 310, 313. Looks very, very good to me. As long as it's above 285, especially, or even 290, I have zero reason to be bearish on this on the weekly time frame. Short-term time frames, yeah, it's going to ebb and flow. Might even put in a little bit of a short-term top right here and come back down to 2970. But I do think that this is, the eye should be on the monthly closure here soon. What else do we want to look at? Do we want to look at gold really quick? Sure. 1729. Gold had a jewel sell signal. I would have to say that it's probably coming further south. 1670. No, wait for the monthly. I've been saying that for the last week. I'm not confident enough on that. And I want to be honest with you, I'm not confident. Long term it's good. Short term, medium term, does it come back down to like high 1600s? Maybe, but I'd rather wait for the monthly close. The easy trades for that one have been had over the last few months. Let's go check out Mr. Buteral. What's he doing? Mr. Buteral on the weekly looking strange. Again, just easy to read. Bitcoin daily looking okay. Litecoin looks like absolute dog shit. Lower highs all along the way, but again, whatever Bitcoin does, it's going to probably mirror. Let's go take a look at the Bitcoin dominance. I didn't do that yesterday, and I do feel like this one could flip around to being medium-term bearish once again. But would I be bearish on this? Maybe. I do think it's possible to come back down to low 65%. However, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm bearish on what's an uptrend right here. So I would still remain long-term bullish on this. Short-term, medium-term, I'm not so sure if it comes back down like another percent. Let's go check out some random altcoin and see how that matches up. Like Cardano, a very highly sophisticated piece of technology on the dead heartbeat chart. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. It actually does look like it's going to give a try to the upside. Any sort of a closure on a weekly above 620, I'd be looking for extension to above 700, 720-ish Satoshis, which is actually a pretty damn big move for something like that. But that condition needs to be met, and I'd imagine that would be the dominance chart coming down another percent or so. But still, long term, I'd actually remain massively bullish on that descending broadening wedge. What else do we want to look at? I think that might be it. Like I said, a little bit of a shorter one today. Volume tailing off on this formation at large. Probably are looking for a resolution on this actually relatively soon. What about 2-day? Have we seen anything on the 2-day? 2-day still rounding off the 200 simple. It really needs to hold that. Again, that's right around the last prior low at 8,600. One of the areas that I'm keeping an intentful eye on. Then again, momentum oscillator is down. Could put in some hidden bullish divergence if it puts in a higher low here. It would look pretty good. What about a 3-day? 3-day coming under pressure here as well, losing the exponential. I don't like that. Yeah, other than that, I don't really have too much to add that I haven't really said over the past week or so. Higher term time frame levels are pretty much the same still. Lower term time frames I actually think are interesting here. I do think that Bitcoin's going to get another another try up into the low 9,000s, like 93 to 9,500ish region. I think is quite likely. Still using 9,000 as kind of like the gatekeeper for this. If it can break back above 9,000, I'd target 9,300. Personally speaking, I do think that it would extend another $200 to 95. But keep in mind that the area between 9,500 and 9,800 is just. It's just a fuckboy area, man. It's a fuckboy area, and the reason why it is because it's hard. You're playing with very tight margins there. If there is going to be a fake out or basically just another lower high being put in, it's going to happen relatively fast in that region. It's going to look very bullish at the same time, but it's really not it's not really doing anything on the macro scale or even, higher term time frame scale differently until it starts closing 12 hours or dailies above 9,800. I think that's going to do it for today's video. Again, I apologize for a little bit of a shorter video, but I do need to get going with running a few errands as, man, it's been a very eventful morning. I can put it that way. So I want to take a second to wish you well. I want to wish you the best of the best as always. I'll be back on tomorrow, maybe doing some Twitch action as well. If not, Elsa will probably be doing it. And yeah, take care, and until next time.